The late 2019, China is struggling through an unusual virus. Wuhan has registered the burst out of the coronavirus. And in the early 2020, we faced first burst out of coronavirus in Russia. In early 2020, we had to close our borders and go to the lockdown, and the major production facilities were seized. The foreign economy of Russia has decreased by 17%. The export dropped by 22.5%, but there are branches that improved their parameters. Medical equipment and antiseptic means production has increased. And we got much more requests from abroad. Food stocks and raw materials in the Republic of Bashkortostan export has grown by 62%. Textile, clothes and shoes has grown by 10.2%. Timber and wooden products has raised by 5.6%. What branches are going to be the most promising in the changing conditions? What are the future directions and prospects? The plenary session, the foreign economic relations during the pandemic. We are starting our plenary session. We invite the Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bashkortostan, Andrei Nazarov.
We start the plenary session. We're inviting Andrei Nazarov, Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bashkortostan.
Vice President of the Joint Stock Company, Russian Export Center, Sergei Vologodsky.
The Vice President of Russian Export Center, JSC, Mr. Sergei Vologodsky.
Директор Департамента развития экспорта продукции агропромышленного комплекса Министерства сельского хозяйства Российской Федерации Роман Андреевич Чекушев.
Executive MBA AMS IBS Moscow, the Director of the Department, Mr. Roman Chekushov.
Генеральный директор Ассоциации европейского бизнеса Тадзио Шилин.
Director General of the European Business Association, Mr. Tadzio Schilling.
Генеральный консул Италии в Москве Франческо Порта.
Italy in Moscow, Francesco Porta.
Consul General of Italy, Knight of the Order of Merit of the Italian Republic, Mr. Francesco Porta.
Президент Центра стратегических разработок Владислав Вячеслав Онищенко.
The President of the Center for Strategic Research, Mr. Vladislav Onyshenko.
Руководитель Центра отраслевой экономики научно-исследовательского финансового института Министерства финансов Российской Федерации Инна Николаевна Рыкова.
Head of the Center for Secretarial Economy of the Financial Research Institute of the Ministry of Finance of the Russian Federation Inna Rykova.
Модератор заседания, редакционный директор журнала Forbes Николай Феликсович Усков.
Is Nikolai Uskov, the Russian Forbes editor. Dear friends, does it work? Yeah, it does. Good afternoon. It's so nice we are all safe and sound here, meeting offline. It's a big pleasure to have you all here. The pandemic has a great impact on all the spheres of our life, and those globalization processes that are going on Earth and have been going on for centuries have been seized. So we are experiencing some difficulties in the foreign relations. And the situation has worsened with the pandemic. We have been living in the war of trade, in the sanctions, and this is a feature of the globalization in Russia. And the pandemic caused the labor migration season and caused impact on other areas of our life. So this is a short introduction to our plenary session. But everything is not as bad as it can be, because the pandemic is a time for new opportunities, and some branches are developing, and some factors of the foreign economic relations are expanding. And during the crisis, it is important to restructure quickly, to get rid of cliches and to expand some new opportunities and horizons. This is something that we are going to talk about today. I'd like to give the floor to Mr. Nazarov, the Prime Minister of the Government of the Republic of Bashkortostan. What is going on today in the Republic, and what are your forecasts for the nearest future? Thank you very much, dear moderator, for agreeing to take the lead in our session. I'm convinced that most of the entrepreneurs of Forbes believe that you are a scale of success for them. It's not a key thing to get into Forbes, but it's important to be mentioned by you, and it's important for them to get your acknowledgement. And the first top 100 of entrepreneurs are acknowledged by Forbes, and it is a big deal for them. And I am honored to have the chief editor of Forbes during our plenary session, and I am pleased that Forbes pays its attention to the Republic. I would like to add that we have comprised the rating in terms of tourism, and I know that the Republic of Bashkortostan has won some positions. That's why we are pleased that we are inside your circle of interests, and we are really the region that should be paid attention to. And I am glad to have this partnership. We set the task for all the Forbes members be either investors in the Republic of Bashkortostan or its residents. Sometimes it is the same thing. In the relation thereto, in case we don't know anyone, if they appear on Forbes, we will be happy to meet them in person and get supported by the Forbes. This year we have a special situation, and it really influenced the life of all the people around the globe and in the Russian Federation and the Republic of Bashkortostan in particular. And we are following and tracking all the processes happening in the region. So the economic processes have slowed down. But for the Republic of Bashkortostan, it was a double impact during the pandemic, because the pandemic made some production stop or at least slow down. And Bashkortostan also witnessed some limitations with the extraction of oil. And for us, it was crucial, and it made the situation even more complicated. We felt like we have been robbed. So not only pandemic influenced us. Of course, we had understood that we would lose incomes. We realized that our major taxpayers would bear losses. So we decided to support our economy, our companies, and developed and adopted, implemented first support measure kit, then the second one. And these two kits really buffered absorbed the impact. They were like a buffer for the drop, the decline that we could have had. And those 30 billion rubles of the support, it was very difficult for us to bear. It is a huge impact on the budget. These are not just direct finances, not direct funds, but it is relieving taxes, some funding, some other measures that this or that way allowed the economy, like the local Bashkortostan's economy, feel more sure, more sustainable. And we have the statistics that confirms the efficiency of these measures. I believe that this allowed us to have our drop as less as 3.3, while the average index in Russia is 3.9. Our industrial statistics is better. The investments in Russia experienced drop, and we have the growth. We have 104% of investments. We have pretty good results in the agriculture, in the construction of blocks of flats. Our growth is 107%. So we occurred in a better situation rather than other regions of the Russian Federation. We are convinced that majorly it was provided by the state support measures. These state support measures, first of all, were related to the export-oriented companies, because I think that export and export-oriented companies were impacted the most, because they had to cease their interaction with other countries. They faced limitations, and it had a great impact on them. So a range of support measures that we worked out included subsidies for costs of exporters related to transportation of non-raw material and no electric power goods. We removed limitations during the pandemic exposed to the transport. For example, we limited the public transport facilities. This year, we, in the Republic of Bashkortostan, decided to limit the movement of public transport. And the transportation, the logistics, and they had to obtain permits for transportation, but the entire Russian Federation decided to adopt such permits. We also provided the export cashback. These are like grants. If you make a new deal for the export of goods, you can get 10% compensation, like a cashback. And this way, this cashback stimulated new deals, new contracts. In the third kit of the state support measures, we are planning to extend the measures in time if they were efficient. And another kit is going to be launched before the new year. We are actively working on it. And we are working on it, including during the IBW. It was a public issue. And I witnessed that there are different opinions, but I guess that within a week we will find a common solution and the kit will be adopted and launched. I believe that we try to keep the mood of the Republic elevated, and we are going to encourage even more the export-oriented companies with the measures that are now existent, and we are going to extend these kits with some more measures. It will allow next year to attain certain results that would be even better than ones that we have this year or had the year ago. There is also a following mechanism. The oil that is exported was not included in our statistics because the deliveries were made not from Bashkortostan, though it was produced here. We didn't see it in our statistics. So today 58% of export is non-raw material. If we add this to our statistics, we will see that the balance will change the other way. Nevertheless, our task is to adopt a third kit, and all the job that we are doing should result in the balance favorable in terms of the non-raw material export. We are working with the most of countries of the world. We have 116 external partners. We managed to extend the amount of trade with Uzbekistan, Latvia, Turkey, Mexico, Azerbaijan, and Armenia. Now we are acquiring some new markets like Ecuador, Uruguay, Honduras. We provide synthetic rubber. We provide some products like PVC. This year, we managed to work out a plan to establish an office in Istanbul and Vienna. We have a number of representatives in the Czech Republic, in Bulgaria. We want other countries to know about Bashkortostan. We want to build a partnership with them. We want them to become our consumers. We have the experience when Bashkortostan's products become components of famous brands like BMW and Mercedes, and they use hydrocarbons produced in Bashkortostan. The same can be said about fashion industry, and they have a certain position in the world industry. And you are lucky if you manage to get there, and you understand that Bashkortostan is one of the participants of these processes aimed at producing goods in the fashion industry.
Let me finalize the presentation. We decided that not only the manufactured goods are the points where we concentrate our efforts in the Republic of Bashkortostan. We also decided to export our knowledge, our expertise. The Scientific and Educational Center was named the Eurasian Center. It was supported and it was established at the federal level, and now we are implementing this idea. We are sure that lots of foreign students will come here for education. And we will sell our knowledge, which does exist here. It will be a substantive point of income, point of revenue of our budget and our economy. And the third direction is our technology, which is available in Bashkortostan. I'm in petrochemicals and chemistry. We are also planning to partly export them. we'll explore them at the larger scale. All these three directions are conventional experts, knowledge experts, and technology experts are the key directions. They will provide us with substantial increase in our revenue. We will also expand the number of the competitive global enterprises. Please, Nikolai, let me suggest that the ones that will be based on Bashkortostan ideas and Bashkortostan territories get the priority rights to be part of Forbes. Those who are members of Forbes should get the priority right to become residents and partners of Bashkortostan. Yes. We will discuss it. We have already discussed the idea of implementing the investment club in Bashkortostan and in Moscow. It will involve the Forbes businessmen, and one day we will deploy this idea. We have the Club of Active Investors. It is held on an annual basis, and 2 days ago we conducted it. This way we express our gratitude to the investors who are actively involved this year. They were also awarded on the governmental basis. We are also ready to listen to criticism for our activity. We haven't heard any criticism. There were some recommendations about what we had to do and to which directions we had to pay attention. Still, we will act jointly. The Forbes magazine and our Club of Active Investors are concentrating their efforts. It will be a joint project. It will be the result of our joint activity. We will cultivate large companies in Russia. One of the trends, the pandemic, has been boosted by the pandemic. I mean the concentration of businessmen on the territory of presence, when they invest more and more funds in the regions where they're working, because when you have to sit still, you will see that this place doesn't look that perfect. It is of paramount importance for any industrial region. We have to retain the employees at the enterprise. We have to create special conditions for their employment so that they could develop themselves, so that they could allow their children to get education here. It is the trend of localization. It is of paramount importance. I can see the businessmen who are actively investing in the infrastructure of their cities, in urbanization, in different developmental centers, in the support of education. Let us do it together. Well, Nikolai, in the past, the Russian businessmen used to think that there is good healthcare in Israel, in Germany, and in other locations. We can also establish our own clinics. Most of the businessmen took the planes, their private planes, and arrived there. But the pandemic has shown that it is not feasible. These medical centers, healthcare points should be located here where you live and work, because you are now not able to fly there. Thus, it has changed the consciousness of many of us. I mean the localization of investment, of our presence. It is impossible just to work here and to earn money, and if you get sick, you will have to fly there or to get education there in order to be treated there in the healthcare region. Still, it is not possible. If we become more patriotic, we will understand that everything is possible at the local level. We can be cured here, we can work here, we can go on holiday in the neighborhood. It will give us more keys to success. The pandemic has demonstrated that sometimes it is vital. It is not just our words, it is our deeds, and it is our vital necessity. And no one can predict what is in store for us. Maybe everything is expecting that is expecting us in the future is similar. Maybe some new virus will break out, and we will have to react to it swiftly. Thus, we have the better medical centers, better recreation facilities. Well, thank you, Andrei, for this impressive description of the life in Bashkortostan. Given your position in the Republic and the government, let me comment on. Please comment on the presentations of other participants of the session. Welcome. Just tell us what you'd like to express. One of the interesting figures which have been voiced before the plenary session is the incredible growth of agriculture. Its augmentation constitutes 70%. And let me give the floor to Sergey. Russian Export Center. How do you estimate these figures? Is it reminiscent of the situation in other regions? Dear colleagues, good afternoon. I think that our exports patterns will be demonstrated by Roman, but as for the figures which we have seen, I mean, the 60-70% growth, they are tremendous. We understand that our statistics are positive in terms of the agriculture. It is been boosted by 15%. The situation was ambiguous this year. It was not that simple, but the non-commodity export constitutes $111 billion, and we're optimistic about it for 9 months. Some industries were underdeveloped, some of them make progress. Still, the products which are in demand are visible. We have been to a few stores. We have scrutinized traditional foodstuff which are in demand among the locals, but also among the residents of other countries. It testifies to our quality and to good conditions where they exist. As for export on the whole for this year, the REC was it was also a challenge for the REC. At the beginning of the year, we didn't have any scenarios and any forecasts. Thus, everything is developing so rapidly. At the beginning of the year, we conducted traditional exhibitions. We were involved in international companies. We organized special events for our exporters. During the first 3 months, then the pandemic broke out, and now these processes have slowed down. We have to switch to more flexible reactions to the exporters' requests. We have the anti-COVID headquarters where we tried to settle the issues which emerged among the exporters. We also optimized our products. As for the tools of governmental support, which are being implemented in our Republic, we have introduced several new programs, such as compensation for foreign certification of industrial products and agricultural products, and for such industries as cinematography and IT. In summer, we launched the compensation of patenting abroad. In order to enter foreign markets, we have to register our trade names. It is especially relevant to agriculture. We are now entering the Chinese market. And there are lots of negative examples when agricultural enterprises work with the Chinese and they deliver the goods. They take care of patenting, and when they reach the turnover, they understand that the distributor has already patented everything, and they have to agree upon everything in order to improve the situation. They will also have to modernize their trade names. We were fully aware of the fact that the state support, which was implied, was of paramount importance for our colleagues from the ministry and for the government. We have to enhance it. Thank you for reintroducing the national program called International Expert. We have retained our tools. We also have another program which is in demand. It's a touristic program. There are also some other programs. We've also got to increase it. There is also a portfolio of tools worth 30 billion rubles. And it is a pleasure. According to all of the programs, we have witnessed demand from different industries and from different enterprises. And the tools which is being created for facilitating our exporters are sought after. Definitely, we are prone to change our principles, our approaches. We have a unique chance to hold an online meeting. Thank you for having me. We are very positive about Bashkortostan. We held a large-scale event in summer with the Center of Export Support, and there were some other programs. Thus, it is an exception to us because most of our meetings are held online. Thus, we have to think of digitalization of all the processes. We have done a lot in order to launch our information system, which is called One Window. We have launched it on the 26th of November. Thus, we rely on this service, which will enable us to get rid of paperwork and to switch to uploading the documents in order to provide services for exhibitions, for transport support, for the zero VAT rate. We set the goal and we implemented alongside with other offices and ministries. We cooperate within the different structures which allow us to upload different certificates. We do not have any debts. There are also our actions are also confirmed by the governmental bodies. The companies may submit the applications thanks to our interaction with the governmental bodies. Thanks to the services, we may launch different programs within transport support. We dispose of paperwork which will enable us to drastically decrease the time for drafting and for verifying these applications. And we will also boost these processes. All the companies will garner support. Definitely, digitalization of the companies will be the cornerstone. We try to fully adapt to customize these products, despite the fact that this year has affected the event management, different forums and exhibitions. Last year, jointly with our exporters, we held more than 100 events. There were some collective booths at the international exhibitions. This year, due to the pandemic, we had to restructure our format. We had the conventional business mission format when we convened our exporters, when they were visiting the non-commodity markets, and now it exists online. This doesn't provide us with interactive patterns and high level of communication and interaction. Still, we can see the demand. We're dealing with the future, and next year we will have export. In Dubai, do we participate in it? I mean, Bashkortostan and the REC. Our colleagues will tell us about Bashkortostan. However, the Ministry of Industry has prepared the booth. Still, the transfer took place, and we hope that the Russian Federation will be involved in it. Despite the pandemic, we managed to conduct approximately 15 exhibitions there, and then they were frozen. We are actively preparing for the first exhibition, which will be held offline. This Kung Fu, the traditional agricultural exhibition, which takes place in Dubai at the end of February. And the Ministry of Agriculture and our exporters of the RC were involved. Over the last 2 months, we are contacting one another because the company should decide now whether it has to go to Dubai or not. Despite the fact that all the organizers of the events, got their revenue. They have to book everything in advance for our exporters. The first exhibition which the RSC is involved is planned for February. Definitely, as soon as we get the chance to lift the restrictions for flights, for going to other countries, and the epidemiological situation will improve, and we will get back to this format. But as for the online business missions, often does our specificity of the current time not allow us to convene the members of all the industries? We involve high-tech technology and products. Sometimes it is very hard to function in online format. It is hard to advertise and to sell something, because when you have a chance to taste something without telling that these products are the most exquisite, I mean dairy products or some other products, still we implement this format alongside, jointly with the Ministry of Industry. We have a foreign office. One of them is located in Shanghai in China, the second one is in Vietnam, and the third one is Dubai. We see that the period which has been the point of exception of this year, I mean the lockdown of China, first took place in Kashmir and Dubai. We can see that the demand is recovering. There was a substantive augmentation of applications of our showroom placements this year. Our showrooms are a unique chance for agricultural manufacturers. If there are some participants who are watching us online, I highly recommend you to pay attention to it. It allows us to place your products. Our operators are interacting with the dealers, with distributors, with trade networks, while launching these products on the local domestic market. Everything is changing. We will implement new formats. Thank you very much. Can you hear me? Oh, okay. Thank you. If you would like to comment on the presentation of other participants of the panel session, please feel free, definitely. Of the Russian Expert Center. The Russian Expert Center has played a big role in the measures of state support, the Russian Federation, and on the whole, Andrei has already mentioned it, but still the measures which have been taken after the consultation with our colleagues. I mean the certification which is subsidized now provides us with support, because sometimes certification constitutes up to 10 million rubles. It is rather costly. When the companies understand that they have a chance to get the subsidy, it improves the process. We've already noticed that we are working more actively after these support measures. The ones who are not cooperating closely with Russian Expert Center should start working with it, start cooperating with it, because it is the personal group, the personal team. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your comment. I'd like to say that the Russian Expert Center is a structure that doesn't work only in Moscow. We have our regional offices and offices outside the country, and it is very important for us to work with the Expert Support Center in the Republic of Bashkortostan. And today in the morning we managed to visit the Medstal Konstruktsiya industrial company. We were discussing their export plans. They have certain export sales. It's clear that the company is creating disinfection means, medical means for our hospitals, for example. And in the current situation, the priority is to provide all the necessary medical utilities and means to our hospitals. There is a huge potential, and our colleagues really showed their commitment. They're getting certified, and they're going to spend about 900,000 rubles. And they use the support measures. They're extended like 5 million, like 10 million. It depends on the certification and the nomenclature. And we try to do our best to support them and enhance the number of companies that get this support and the amounts as well, it will be good for us. This is the company that this year enhanced their turnover. They provide medical utilities, and it is a special year for this sphere. Expert in Dubai is available. We can go there and show the potential of the Republic of Bashkortostan, I guess. I'd like to say that the Russian Export Center has 30 billion rubles of support measures, and we have 30 billion rubles. Feel the difference. The difference is that 30 billion rubles is only one region. Dear friends, let's continue, because some of people are going to leave. Today I'm staying, but some of the panel session participants are going to leave this place. The Ministry of Agriculture, we have started talking about it. Could you please comment on the 70% of export increase in Bashkortostan? Agricultural products. What is in general? Now we are talking about the duties to the agriculture, and the government of the country is not satisfied with the results.
Good afternoon, dear participants. This plenary session. Firstly, I would like to thank the Republic of Bashkortostan, Andrei Gennadievich, in this difficult time, holding these events, that I'm very thankful for these events. And a great and big thank you for inviting us. You showed very good results. And almost yesterday I said to our President Vladimir Putin, and of course these figures are good results. Colleagues, can you please show the presentation? Thank you. I was almost one of them who was going to leave. I would like to say it shortly. Can you show me the next slide? What do we have in this? We have $26.5 billion of exports today. We had managed to make the plan. It increased by 16%, and the Republic of Bashkortostan made it even better. That 70% of growth was a good.
We supply all over the world, 157 countries. The dynamics is sustainable. We work a lot to open new markets for animal stock, and we show good results in our open markets. We are successfully delivering pork to Vietnam and Hong Kong. It says that our product is in demand. It is the first year we are delivering these goods. We are growing really promising way. What about the cereals? We don't have any limitations. And the export of cereals or other crops has not been exposed to any duties or fees. It is one of our advantages. You can see this on my slide, and we diversify our export. Previously, the Russian Federation was associated to cereals only, but now we show good results with oil seeds, and we make pressure on our Chinese competitors in terms of our processed oil seeds. We provide not only soy, but also the prepared oil products. We show good results with meat and dairy products. A few years ago, we couldn't even dream about such volume. But now we are one of the leaders and we are competitors to the major exporters in these products. Export is really interesting thing for our animal stock companies. They are developing in the Republic of Bashkortostan. And Bashkortostan is a serious leader in the dairy products, in the animal stock. That's why we all together are working in this sphere. We show really good results in the food processing industry. It means that we are going in the good direction from the point of view of the support measures. Briefly, Sergei outlined what we do for our exporters and manufacturers, but it is only a part of the big job of the government of the Russian Federation in the sphere of agriculture, the work of the Russian Export Center, and I'd like to point out the regions who are extensively engaged in the industry. I would like to point out that the peculiarity of the agriculture, unlikely to other branches of economy, is that the companies work with our farmers, with our agriculture specialists who are familiar with our heads, ministries of agriculture locally, and they are major guides of our policy. And we see really good results. We started adopting the privileged loaning. So we want farmers to have money for turnover, for raw materials. We want the money to be provided to food manufacturers. About 1.2 interest rate of the loans will definitely facilitate the exported products. Our RIEC product partners also develop the support measures in the sphere of logistics, subsidies, and the measures related to the compensation of certification costs. We work on promotion. We have a concept for the mutual work aimed at promoting the Russian agricultural products. Our colleague from Italy, our guest, knows about this brand, Made in Italy. It is clear, it is remarkable, it is well known globally. So we want the same with our Russian products. We want the brand to be as recognized as Made in Italy or Made in France. It is really important job. It can't be done within one day. It is a systemic work. It will take both online and offline events with our partners. It is marketing job, a strategical job, promotion job. That's why we created the federal center called Agro-Export, and they will prepare all the materials that will be used by REC, and they will implement it all together. In order to facilitate the processing and present the prepared product, next year we are going to have some new support measure kit. The project hasn't remained the same as it was before, like a year ago. We have created and adopted some new measures. Next year we will compensate the cost spent to construct or update the deep processing of cereals. I'd like to say this is not only for export, this is import replacement, and for our economy it is vital. I said today that we are capable to create everything here in place, in situ. Since next year, we will be compensating costs spent to buy high-tech technologies and equipment for companies who are going to purchase it in order to process food stock. We have different consumer preferences among our customers. We want to pack, mark, and have our products complying with the international requirements all over the globe. We need the equipment that will be able to manufacture such goods, and the business cannot bear these risks without the state support, unless we understand how it works. So that's why we are adopting this support measure. Next year we are going to see how it's going to work, and we are going to engage these tools and engage the Ministry of Agriculture to facilitate the companies. Our task is to make the export a driver of our economy. We want it to be massive. We want not only big holdings to be our exporters. We want to extend our small companies. We want them to work with our partners, to go to trips. We want our farmers to be free at producing such goods. We want them to feel as if they were trading with a neighboring region. I guess these are best world practices, like Brazil or Belgium. They became leaders of agricultural market. So we are going the same way. We have the same structures, the same paths, the same strategies. So I guess that we can meet regularly and discuss the results and be talking about new tools and share the opinion what we have to do next. I'm not going to speak anymore, not to go into the details. We're going to have a round table and we will be able to discuss details. Thank you very much. Thank you. Generally, it is a good news that the cereal used to be our oil in 19th century, and our oil, butter, cheese was popular in Europe, and I'm happy that we are getting this situation back. Because the destiny of oil is not obvious. As Chubais said in my interview, we have to get off this half-dead horse and find a new growth point. The epoch of hydrocarbons is going to its end. I think you do a lot to extend the range of the exported goods.
We're interested that oil production will grow. As I said, this is our task. Americans say that if the horse is dead, leave it. I would like to say that our horse is not dead. We'll continue riding. But there will be a time where the second horse needs to run. I would like to thank you all, and especially Roman Andreevich from the Ministry of Agricultural Production. And most of our success is your support. And that you're supporting these projects on protecting wheat. That's a good news for us. We have some new project, and we would like to work together. That's 4 billion tons of wheat in our country. And we think that it's essential to grow wheat. Thank you for coming. I hope that this event would be essential for us all. That we will have our first results of wheat. Thank you. I would like to say some words. It's great that Republic of Bashkortostan helped us, and we held this event. We met the ministry or the companies. That's more interesting, but we not only export standard products. You said about oil, yes. But in our country, there is something that is in demand in the market. As for example, in your republic, dairy products. We saw that today our colleagues produce hummus. From now and from this year, this is a very perspective direction, and European Union buys it.
I mean, our wild herbs, wild herb teas and berries. We are going to export our local herbs to China. It was found out that China is highly interested in our local Bashkirian herbs. These are not mass products, but they are pretty peculiar. Sergei, maybe during the round table we can discuss it when our exhibitions present really peculiar products. Thank you very much for facilitating these directions. Let's continue. For let you go free. We have been talking about the EU. How do you see the situation with Russian export? And what is changing in Europe that Russian exporters should be ready for? Obviously, the goal of sustainable development and the new power standards, ecology standards, may influence the activity of Russian exporters. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for your question, Nikolai. I'd like to express my gratitude for inviting me, Mr. Nazarov, for the chance to present the voice of the European Association of Business. It is this year 25 years old. It is a good term. And we have over 500 members in various branches, including those that are successfully presented and developing in Europe with their production. And I am glad that they export more and more. I'd like to focus on the European business and its role in export. In order to answer your question, I guess different syntheses are possible. First of all, we increase the export of Russian products to Europe is based on the logical development of all the previous stages. If we look back to early 1990s, it was the period of restructure of the Russian economy, but at the same time, it was the time when the Russian economy was acquired by the European business. After that, of the global financial crisis, we entered like in the early 2000s, or in the 2010s, we went to deeper understanding of this market. We enhanced the production facilities. We got some technological transfers through the European business in Russia. I guess this is a success story. I guess now we are at the third stage, when on the basis of this contribution, we may consider Russia as the platform of the global scale that will be used to integrate the global value chains. I guess that this is the future. This is what our future depends on. Why it became possible? First of all, we should say that it is the self-development of the Russian economy it is the expansion of volumes of growth. But what is more important is creation of conditions that will provide the successful expansion. These conditions should be provided both at the local and the federal level. In the very beginning, there were few regions that were competing in the global ratings as the most advanced in the best practices aimed at attracting investors. Now, it is a practice for all the regions. They are spreading them, distributing them in Kaluga, in Tatarstan, in Bashkortostan, obviously. Now they are distributing across all the regions of the Russian Federation. And it's not the first time I'm in Ufa, and I'm always surprised and excited how here in Russia you can find such an international center. And I am really honored that this place has held such significant international events. It means that Bashkortostan has an open character, and we are ready for cooperation. And this result allowed to facilitate the international business that expressed their positions, ideas, and wishes through such associations as Association of European Business that provide the legal framework, standard framework, mechanisms for investment attraction. So the third idea, what do we do next? What is the situation that we have now? The pandemic, recent pandemic, helped to relieve the pressure, and these conditions made us face the new challenges. Unfortunately, these challenges are not easy.
On the other hand, we face the tasks which are not impossible to solve individually. I'm in healthcare during the pandemic. Secondly, we have to implement the full potential related to digital transformation of the economy. Thirdly, it covers the changes, the climate change. Here are the challenges we have to settle jointly. The European business is ready for it, but definitely we should have the contributing environment and supporting environment. We will always invite them to act. Being an individual, single, autonomous organization, we tell our friends to find a new impetus to gain momentum for overcoming these challenges and for streamlining these relations. You have already mentioned that now the situation is complicated. All the countries of the world, including the European Union and China, Korea, Japan, are resolutely determined to make the economy greener, and it will incur some consequences for the global trade, commerce, and investment. We understand that it is also substantive for Russia. It is a challenge. It is a so-called Green Deal, although the deal is an incorrect translation. It is not an agreement. We would like to say that we hope that we would be eager to avoid green economy as well as new politicization of this issue. We can see carbon border adjustment at the beginning of this era. It is a substantive topic which should be considered cautiously, given the balance of interests, because it is possible we have to implement a multiple approach so as not to jeopardize the new agenda to politicization. Responding to your words, Andrei, you have already mentioned that incentivizing investment and promoting them for exports is not only about tax benefits or special legal status. You also mean life conditions. Being foreign investors and foreigners, we have overcome this year jointly. This year was truly challenging. It was the pandemic era. I've also been sick in Russia. I've suffered from COVID-19. And if you are located in the country, you are becoming more and more entrenched in this country. We concurrently will be happy if we feel your support, including the issues which are currently the most pressing ones for the foreign business. Hopefully we will be able to act sometimes, given all the precaution measures. Hopefully we will be able to come back for the future and we'll come back home and then we'll get back to Russia, to our workplaces. It is another important attraction factors for this region. Thank you very much. We are also ready to it. You have already mentioned that in accordance with the Forbes agency, we can work for promotion. There are lots of successful examples. In the Association of European Business, we are ready to get engaged in the abundance of these foreign investors which are applying this platform, such companies as IKEA. It constitutes 25% of furniture exports from Russia. The company which produces spare parts is export-oriented. This topic is not only Russian, it is also our topic. We are also interested in forging it. We're also interested in branding. The brands are truly important. We are ready for cooperation. Thank you very much. Let me thank you for your perfect Russian language. It is immaculate. You can see that you are entrenched in this country. Yes, Andrei, please, the floor is yours. Mr. Schilling, let me express my gratitude for coming to our event. Your Russian is really perfect, and you are also positive about us. There is also an offer. Let us hold the European event on an annual basis here in Ufa. It will be called European Market Selects the Best Companies and the Best Exporters. You'll be here, you'll see everything, you'll touch the situation, you will delve into it. I do not mean the taste, I mean it in the indirect sense. Thus, you will certify it. Means that this good is worthy of going to the market. There will be a contract between Bashkortostan and the European consumers. It will not only be Bashkortostan, will also involve the Eurasian territory. We are located at the intertwining area. It is logical to make this selection and to establish partnership here. Thus, it is an open public offer for you. Thank you very much. Invariably, we are ready to consider this offer and to implement it. Let us discuss it and let us exchange contacts in order to implement it. The end of January, they will not hold Davos. It will take place here in Bashkortostan. Thus, come and visit us, and we will discuss it. Thank you. There are also mountains here, as far as I know, in general. Mr. Forte, let me give the floor to you. Italy. For Italy, we do miss it. We yearn for it. I have been to Italy in January. I was successful in this area because many people didn't manage to go there. It is very hard for the Russians to live without Italy. As far as I know, Indoprom will take place next year, and Italy will be the country of this year in Indoprom, and we anticipate interesting representatives. Could you please tell us about your today's vision of the relations between Italy and Russia?
Yes. I am afraid that I will be the only English speaker of the panel, so I will allow some time for people to adjust with their earplugs. In the meanwhile, thank you for the introduction and good afternoon, you all. Allow me to join all the other panelists in complimenting the Prime Minister and his government for organizing this event, International Business Week, and for such a great organization. It's my first time in Ufa. I have to say I didn't see much of the city because I come from the very south of Italy, and the weather here for me is deadly cold. So I will come back, me too, if you allow me, Prime Minister, in a second, maybe in another season, maybe with Tazio, we will enjoy also the weather here. I would say, thank you for your question. I would say that I am glad to share my perspective, my personal experience in the consulate, because what I'm going to say is perfectly complementing what the Prime Minister said in his speech. And believe me, we didn't organize the speech. And I was pretty surprised when I heard that. Now, let me introduce myself. I'm a Consul General in Moscow, but that means that I am overviewing the consular activities and the visas activities in the whole Russian Federation, except St. Petersburg. So I would say my perspective, as you said, my point of view is pretty wide. And it's been so far 3 years, not enough to learn the language, unfortunately. And in 1 year, I will go back. So it's too late for me to be speaking Russian. But it's been a great experience. And I can tell you that with some numbers, with some statistics. Before coronavirus, we issued last year more than 500,000 visas. Just one consulate. It's a huge number. And we saw flows of people, not only tourists, categories, businesses, investments, agricultural producers, and not only to sell, not only to invest, but as you rightfully said, Prime Minister, because of the know-how, they exchange know-how, and they're coming even in Ufa. Now, what I have seen is exactly what the Prime Minister was describing, a strong push because the perspective is clear. I mean, coronavirus has happened, but it will not last forever. So if you see statistics and trends, they are showing a potential, great potential, not for crude oil, not for gas, but for products and know-how, knowledge. And agriculture is one of them. What did the consulate do then? Because what you said was valid and is valid also for Italy. We reshaped our activity, our consular activity. It was not because I am particularly more intelligent than my predecessors, no, probably less. But it's because we had an opportunity. We had to renew the contract for the visa centers. So we did a tender. And when we did the tender, we went, Tazio is laughing because that's when we met in his past life. When we did this tender, we asked a consulting company, big firm, to do a study, an overview of the perspectives. And it came up that one of the new cities where the visa center should be established was Ufa. So if you go and see the documents in the tender, and hopefully we're going to sign the contract very soon, Italy will be very happy to open very soon a visa center in Ufa. Now, a visa center is not only for visas. Visa center is a center where any kind of interest and activity connected to Italy can be developed, can find an opportunity. Matching to this, the Prime Minister is aware of this, we also the ambassador, also had the idea to establish an honorary consul. So you see, the perspective you were describing, the perspective the Prime Minister were describing, is not just a vision of the future. It's something that is already there. And countries like Italy are adapting their strategies in order to match these opportunities. So you see, this is your question. I hope I answered your question. But there was exactly what I was highlighting, and listening to the presentation of the Prime Minister, I was surprised, because that's exactly what we are doing. Italy is going to be present in Ufa and in Bashkortostan, and hopefully we're going to support the development of interchange, trade, but mostly know-how, because this is the frontier. We don't have to stop thinking that we get richer when we sell products. We get richer, we would recall Ricardo, a famous economist, when we share know-how in a competitive advantage, mutual competitive advantage, so that global richness would grow. So this is what I think we are witnessing now. Let's hope that COVID is over soon. Let's hope that political situation will go peaceful quickly. I'm a consul, so I don't get into political things, but we have a perspective of great opportunities, and we have some minor issues to solve before. Thank you.
Спасибо огромное за эмоциональный и очень красивый комментарий.
Thank you very much for this comment.
Найдете красивый дом?
Could you find a beautiful city for the consulate in Ufa? Yes, I would like to invite Mr. Ford to Bashkortostan in summer. We will establish a consulate here. We will select the special house. It will have the historic value. And we will show you Bashkortostan. You will understand that not only Italy is a spectacular country.
Thank you. Maybe you will need me as a consul next time.
Dear friends, let me move on to the next speaker. The Center for Strategic Development. We should know what happens with us and what is in store for us tomorrow. Could you please answer the questions which we have already asked today? We have already been discussing them, but still answer them from your statistic perspective. It will not happen tomorrow. Hopefully, we will be aware of everything 2 days later, but we know where we should go 2 days later. For 2 days later time period, the correct place for discussion is located here. When I was here for the last time, we discussed that our ambitions of the Republic allow us to become the Congress capital of Russia. Ufa is located in the center of Russia. In this regard, it doesn't have any benefits over other countries. But as for this, other cities, as for this event, which lasts for a few days, it has the perfect conditions. It means that people are very serious about the problems they solve. Other initiatives of the government and of the business of Bashkortostan also have good chances for success, odds for success. I'm covering everything that we haven't covered before. There are some perspectives of experts in the post-COVID world, in the world in which we are located in the high risks conditions of this pandemic and other force majeure. We also should deal with foodstuff, petrochemicals, and export of logistics, transport. Bashkortostan and Russia on the whole have already got historic background in this area. While selling oil and gas, we should point out that it is not about tomorrow, it is about the day after tomorrow. Let me also dwell upon some other items. Andrei has already mentioned that
We have recently taken the decision aimed at creating one of 5 new educational centers of international level. It's correct, because the future of the day after tomorrow is determined by high tech. It means that in order to not only export the popular goods, we also have to invest in the sectors which are not entrenched here, but they provide perfect potential for the future. The Republic is characterized by high level of education, high concentration of science-intensive enterprises. In the post-COVID era, the transfer of goods and people are restricted, but we still can promote knowledge, and for this reason we have to develop high-tech enterprises. It may exist alongside with education, with data markets and everything that covers them. It may also exist in the sectors where Russia doesn't have any competitive advantage. They are underdeveloped. Still, the competitive fight does take place. This competitive struggle. We do not have perceive others as rivals or as the representatives of other countries. We need partners with partnership with China, with the USA, and with some other countries. We should set the goal. We may create educational, far-reaching scientific and technological centers in order to deploy 50 or 100 laboratories of the largest global companies of any domain. For instance, the ones considering biotechnology and the treatment of agricultural products or high-tech. These ambitions should be implemented in order to provide for the people's lives, for our services, tomorrow, the day after tomorrow. We have already covered that. The opportunities of the Republic in export of services, for instance, touristic services, are underdeveloped. In Russia, we're fully aware of different facts. For instance, alpinism is popular in winter. We are aware about Caucasus. We know Crimea, Kuzbas. Still, no one is aware of the opportunities of Bashkortostan, for instance, the Ural Mountains. It is not only the chance for Russian export, but it is also about exports of Europe and Asian countries. In order to exchange our ideas, it is of paramount importance to invest. People should come here and familiarize themselves with the culture, the nature, and the people and the conditions here at the location. It's very hard to invest in the territories in which you have never been. It is necessary to come here in order to understand the situation and then agree with these offers to do something here. Many of those who exchange opinions, who are involved in technological exchange in Italy, have been tourists. They have been there as tourists, and then they understood that they had to do something else apart from coming there on vacation. We face the same situation with Bashkortostan. In order to launch some new projects here, we have to come here for the first time, in the first place. Whether it is a Congress activity or a tourist activity or other kinds of attraction people here, for instance, a medical cluster or an educational cluster, it would be wonderful. As for exporting educational services, let me say a few words. This week we held a large conference aimed at education in Russia, and I talked about educational service with the Vice Minister of Science and Education. I wanted to understand which goals are set and how the prospects of educational services are estimated. He impressed me by figures.
казалось бы, да, большая часть иностранных
Most of the foreign students believe
в
that
России, по крайней мере, не онлайн, а образование очное.
education in Russia is not online, it is
Отсутствие возможности приехать,
offline. Still, the borders are closed. No one can enroll in the universities, and this meant that the demand should have been fallen. We believe that there will be substantive decline in educational sector in Russia. It hasn't increased, but it has retained the same level as it was last year. On the whole, there are such services, and we have to forge them in the future. And as for the final words, let me highlight that there is a boom. There is a boom in modernization of legislation in Russia. I mean, the legal guillotine and the new requirements which would allow us to develop technological business, high-tech business, hindered by the old norms, old laws of these regions. It would be of prime importance to implement pilot projects in different directions. Some pilot projects have already been launched. Still, we expect further growth and digital economy, creation of new treatment and processing technology. Given the green requirements which our European partners have, I mean green certificates which will enable us to export the goods and services freely, we ought to invest in a pilot mode. I mean, the legal modes or the legal regimes or the experiments on AI development or some other similar projects, to name a few. We have to invest in the enterprises which will comply with the best international practices in order to support the exporters. These companies should be oriented at exports of technology. It will allow us to implement the large export projects in the relevant spheres. Thank you very much. Thank you. Let me say a few words about it. Let me express my gratitude for believing in Bashkortostan. When the head of the Strategic Development Center believes in Bashkortostan, it is a good indicator because our expertise should be based on certain regions. It is a pleasure that Bashkortostan is chosen as one of the key regions. Let me agree that this center corresponds to the global level. It requires an upgrade. It's not only about export of knowledge, it's also about import of technology, of education, of laboratories. These ideas are absolutely correct, and we will have to upgrade them. As for tourism, yesterday we dedicated our events to tourism. Bashkortostan is one of the key points because Bashkortostan has immense territory. Its area is larger than the ones of the area of other countries, of some other countries. It may account for 3 Switzerlands, and it is located only 2 hours away from Moscow. If you fly from Moscow, it takes 100 minutes. And when you fly from Moscow, it means that you may fly away at 9 a.m. and you came back also here at 9 a.m. due to jet lag. This territory is underestimated from this point of view. It's not only about the nature and the historic venues. There were over 2,700,000 tourists in Bashkortostan, and there were only 100 of international tourists here in Bashkortostan. Foreign tourists haven't still discovered Bashkortostan. All the events, including our today's event, which will take place far beyond Davos, will allow the foreigners to show Bashkortostan. It will be represented as a recreational zone. We understood why people people managed to come to Bashkortostan. Only 12% came here because it was the touristic approach. People from neighboring regions cannot perceive Bashkortostan as an interesting spot. Some people came to their relatives and friends. Some people went on business journeys, and only a few people, only the 12%, were interested in Bashkortostan as a tourist destination. Few people have already approved the touristic attraction of Bashkortostan. There were 2,700,000 tourists yesterday, last year. But we need at least 5,500 tourists, and 50% of them must be foreigners. Yesterday we discussed that there is one 5-star hotel, and in Dubai there are 145 5-star hotels. It is tourist-oriented. It is not oriented at the locals. Thus, we have to pave the way in this direction. If people are interested to Ufa, there will be at least 60 5-star hotels. Dubai also was launched as a tourist destination, although the sea was not located close to the hotels. In the proximity of the hotels, still many people live in Dubai, but some of our representatives like being here because they approve of cold weather, not only the warm weather. Some people would like to change the environment, and thus Bashkortostan is very attractive. We are all sexist. Ina, sorry, you're the only lady of the session. You'll be the last person to present review. Sorry, we're short of time. Could you please comment on the key issues which we have already discussed? Being the only woman, I'll be excused that I will speak about government spending and the efficiency of government spending. When the Ministry of Agriculture and the representatives of the development institutions deal with our success, we look at it from the different angle. I mean agriculture, I mean the exports of raw materials in all the countries, including Russia, and in all the aspects of the territories of the Russian Federation. Currently, despite the positive decrease in the trends, the 52% share in 2019 constituted the agricultural raw materials. Bashkortostan had positive indicators. It reached the spending has decreased from 53 to 19%. It means that you create products with a higher value added. Concurrently, we will have dwelled upon export specialization of Bashkortostan, and the colleagues from neighboring regions still we have both positive and negative factors.
Mr. Putin recently increased the prices, and we have a positive index of exported vegetable oil by 34%. The import and export of tomatoes has the difference multiplied by 3. We export at 0.33 and import at a higher price. You know the statistics, the big codes, extended groups, but this year we fixed the inflow of cocktail cucumbers from Spain, cash and carry at 222 rubles per kilogram, and Russian producers can produce these products themselves, avoiding the 077 prohibition code. The most important thing is that we have import growth points. We have a range of prioritized points, and if we extend national projects, we have an increase in imports. It's not bad that we import cattle, but the neighboring republic is importing meat, and we do not import meat. There is a range of such examples, but if we leave alone the agriculture, we see $52 million. We always speak about it. We import syringes. Let's make the production of syringes local. $4.3 billion per year. It is the import of bandages. We can forever list this imported good. We are applied by the companies that focus on the export of wild herbs, but these companies are not acknowledged as agricultural companies. We are talking about such a center for the export activity in Bashkortostan, and we want these small companies with small good batches and with potential opportunities, we want them to cooperate, and the REC will make it a single manufacturer, and this will allow to extend the export with a higher VAT, maybe with a bit different items, with new countries, with places where export is unexpected. So the FER is not only export. It should have a balance. We should replace something that we cannot produce yet. Thank you. Cocktail cucumbers. Yes, cocktail cucumbers. I was in the forum of typical Russia, and none of agricultural manufacturer could say what it is. I know that it's Turkey. I know the specific manufacturer. And do we have cocktail cucumbers in Bashkortostan? Yes, we have greenhouses. Can we maybe fulfill this niche? We can work on it. I think we are expected by cocktails today, maybe, aren't we? I would like to thank Inna for supporting. We have an agreement, and we are working with the institute, and we have a big program. We plan to cooperate with neighboring regions and create a strategic project. And I guess that next year we will launch this program, and it will give us a competitive advantage in comparison to other regions. And we will find fans from abroad. About syringes, it is correct, right? Yes, we have a lot of examples. We work with substances. We import insulin, and we should replace these imported goods. A small comment. I'd like to draw your attention not to confuse things. There is no agriculture raw material. I don't know what classification you are using. Yeah. According to the common standard classification, all the from 1 to 24 code items are not raw materials. I guess that some of these items can be produced, right? There is the head of the Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and they can produce anything, right? Because when we faced the pandemic, we realized that we don't have anyone producing masks, but now a lot of companies do. Could you please confirm my idea? When do we launch the production?
Since
yesterday, I've been advertising your lemon garden, and our investors are asking what is the profit, what is the margin. You have unique specialists, you have a unique business. You haven't seen everything yet. So ones are expected by flights, ones are expected by cocktails. Tomorrow or the day after tomorrow, or maybe today, it will be a good day. So, Mr. Nazarov, could you please conclude, summarize the session? I can't do this myself if I have the Prime Minister in the session. We had a legal forum here, and there was a question from the nominee. of the Lawyer of the Year award, do you think it is right to have when I have a lawyer, so the same as you said, when I have a prime minister? So to be serious, today we have the final day of the marathon of the international week. I guess this is an entire week. It is a big event, an important one, the key one. And from this point of view, I'd like to say that there is a saying, there is no sweeter dust than the dust under the wheels of the living guests. So we are enjoying the fact that we have increasingly more partners that work with us. And a few years ago, we didn't know you. But when we apply our competences, when we borrow your experience, we see absolutely different results. I think that Bashkortostan will prove that this is the place of power, the place of force, and we will manage to attain the sought result. And I'd like to invite you to the next event, the next International Business Week that will take place next December. But before that, I want to implement a range of projects that we were talking about. I'd like to express my gratitude to the government of the Republic of Bashkortostan, and I'd like to thank you on behalf of the citizens for the warm attitude to the Republic of Bashkortostan. Thank you very much. Thank you, dear colleagues. So we are almost in time.
Уважаемые гости, убедительная просьба не расходиться. Добрый вечер, дорогие друзья. Мы рады приветствовать всех участников, гостей и организаторов мероприятия на церемонии награждения победителей конкурса «Экспортер года Республики Башкортостан» в рамках Международной недели бизнеса. Развитие экспорта является одним из важнейших направлений российской экономики, поэтому очень символично, что церемония чествования победителей проходит в рамках дня, посвященному усовершенствованию экономических принципов на Международной неделе бизнеса. Также отмечу, что проведение конкурса было бы невозможно без поддержки организаторов. Это Государственный комитет Республики Башкортостан по внешнеэкономическим связям и конгрессной деятельности и Центр поддержки экспорта Республики Башкортостан. Жюри оценивало конкурсантов по нескольким критериям: темпы прироста объема реализуемой экспортной продукции, география поставок, а также международное продвижение на зарубежных рынках. Стоит отметить, что на рассмотрение конкурсной комиссии было допущено 28 конкурсантов, 8 компаний-представителей крупного бизнеса и 20 субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства, в результате чего было определено 11 победителей. Перед началом награждения позвольте предоставить слово вице-президенту акционерного общества «Российский экспортный центр» Вологодскому Сергею Александровичу.
Добрый день. Я рад вас приветствовать на нашей такой торжественной премии и на награждении в рамках «Экспортера года Башкортостана». Я могу сказать, что мы также в течение этого года проводили большой федеральный конкурс «Экспортера года», и нам отрадно, что в этом году было рекордное количество заявок, которое было подано изо всех субъектов, это значение 1724, и мы видим, что, с одной стороны, экспортеры все чаще обращают внимание на такие премии, а со стороны нас, со стороны администрации республики, это очень отрадно и почетно, чтобы все-таки на уровне региона, на уровне страны, страна и регион знал своих героев, потому что это настоящие герои, герои нашего экспорта. И чем больше будет таких историй успехов, тем мы будем жить лучше, поэтому сделаем для этого все возможное. Спасибо.
Спасибо, Сергей Александрович. Сейчас просьба пройти в центр для награждения. С огромным удовольствием переходим к самой интригующей части нашего торжества, а именно к церемонии награждения. И начнем мы ее с победителей конкурса среди крупного бизнеса. Победители в номинации «Экспортер года в сфере промышленности. Крупный бизнес». Общество с ограниченной ответственностью «Кронашпан Башкортостан». Для получения диплома приглашается генеральный директор Курбаншо Ардашер Ермамедович. Обращаю внимание на фотографа, уважаемые номинанты и победители. Спасибо огромное. Еще раз аплодисменты. Победители в номинации «Экспортер года в сфере услуг. Крупный бизнес». Общество с ограниченной ответственностью, научно-производственная фирма «Пакер». Для получения диплома приглашается директор Нагуманов Марат Мирсатович. Сергей Александрович, вам огромное спасибо. Можете занимать место в зале. Для награждения победителей субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства Республики Башкортостан позвольте пригласить председателя Государственного комитета Республики Башкортостан по внешнеэкономическим связям и конгрессной деятельности Булычеву Маргариту Дмитриевну. Победитель в номинации «Экспортер года в сфере промышленности среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства. Общество с ограниченной ответственностью. Инновации в бурении». Для получения диплома приглашается исполняющий обязанности генерального директора Евенко Владимир Сергеевич.
Еще сразу добавлю, что мы, кроме почетной грамоты, даем сертификат на обучение деловому английскому на номиналом на 70 тысяч рублей.
Победитель в номинации «Экспортер года» в сфере агропромышленного комплекса среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства, общество с ограниченной ответственностью, группа компаний «Эксперимент». Для получения диплома приглашается директор Чехладзе Георгий Фридонович. Спасибо, Маргарита Дмитриевна. Можете занимать свое место в зале. Для награждения победителей субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства Республики Башкортостан позвольте пригласить заместителя председателя Государственного комитета Республики Башкортостан по внешнеэкономическим связям и конгрессной деятельности Изотову Лену Михайловну. Победитель в номинации «Экспортер года» в сфере высоких технологий среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства. Акционерное общество «Арт-Оснастка». Для получения диплома приглашается генеральный директор Асфандияров Ильнар Расимович. Победитель в номинации «Прорыв года среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства». Общество с ограниченной ответственностью «Русская купоросная компания». Для получения диплома приглашается заместитель директора Чепурнов Никита Игоревич. Победитель в номинации «Экспортер года» в сфере услуг среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства акционерное общество «Инженерная компания «Квантор». Для получения диплома приглашается заместитель директора Багаудинов Вадим Рафаэльевич. Победитель в номинации «Новая география среди субъектов малого и среднего предпринимательства» общество с ограниченной ответственностью «Уфа Химкомплект». Для получения диплома приглашается руководитель отдела внешней экономической деятельности Егорушкова Дарья Витальевна. Дарья Витальевна, пожалуйста, не уходите. Уважаемые участники церемонии, просим вас всех еще раз подняться на сцену для общей совместной фотографии. Дорогие участники, от всей души поздравляем вас с победой. Уверены, что мы еще не раз увидим наименование ваших предприятий в числе лучших. Успехов вам в наших начинаниях. До свидания, дорогие друзья. До новых встреч.